Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be going over how to create a note game for your iPod Classic. This will work on all iPod Classics with a note feature and the iPod Nano 1 through 5th generation. Also the iPod Minis, forgot to mention that. It will not work on the iPod Touch or iPhone because it uses a completely different system for notes. Now, what is the note feature? The note feature is a method of viewing text files, plain text files on your iPod. It supports some very basic HTML code, which is unique to the iPod. Google Chrome and web browsers can all view it, but they will not be able to run some of the codes for the iPod. Today we're only going to be playing with 2 or 3 different HTML tags. So it's going to be incredibly simple, and it's going to be a method of creating non-linear story games. If you don't know what non-linear means, imagine in the late 70s and early 80s dungeon games. So you enter a dark room, turn left, turn right, jump the chasm, put troll in bag. That's a non-linear game where you have multiple outcomes. Whereas you have Super Mario Brothers, which is a linear game. There is only one way forward. You know, you might be able to skip a level with the warps, but it is still linear because you can only go forward. Okay, so what text files will run on the iPod? Now, it has a limit of 4 kilobytes per text file, which means if you went to download sort of a text file or a book, so I'm going to be using Project Gutenberg, and now let us download a book. Let's go joinery, joiner, yeah. Things to make, there we go. So, oh, whoops. Let's go back. So, plain text UTF-8. Now this will work on your iPod. It is already the format. Now, as you can see, we've opened up to a text, and this makes no sense. Where's the download button? Right click, save as, it will save as a text. Okay, minimize that. If we do a get info, oh, that is quite a bit more than 4 kilobytes. So we've run into our first snag. Now, this will load onto your iPod, but it will cut off at the 4 kilobyte mark. So there are a few methods you can use. So you can use WordPod. This probably won't run on modern Macs. It definitely, will run on Windows because Windows is like antiquated. WordPod. This is the link to it. So we open up WordPod. Let's add desktop encoding. Let's go to UTF-8. Split by chapter. That is good enough. Wrap to screen. This means that it won't split words in half once it gets to the 4 kilobyte mark. It will split earlier. So if you've got a long word like rhododendron, it won't split it. It will keep the full word in the next page. Okay, so you can add all this. I'm not going to bother. If we now open it, is this the one? Oh, no, it's this one. Oh, view. So as you can see here, it works. If we click next. So there we go. So that is WordPod. You can then sync this to your iPod, and it will just. Can we show this in Finder? No, that's right. Okay, so you could sync this to your iPod if you had it connected. I don't have an iPod with me right now. So this is definitely an option for this situation. But this is not a non-linear story game. So how do we do that? There's a few methods. So I recommend that you used simply TextEdit or Notepad if you're a barbarian. Or you could use Twine in combination with TextEdit or Notepad. Okay, So this is Twine 1.4.2. It's a very powerful app. Twine 2.0 or 2 point whatever will be infinitely better. I'm just using a very outdated operating system and I can't run a new one. So, what do we do here? Well, start. So, I'm going to run you through how to use Twine. So, start game. So we open and close. We'll add a pipe. This vertical one is called a pipe. If you don't know what it is, Google it. It's important for this. Start game. This is your button. After the pipe is your note. So let's just name this 1. Close. Yes. Okay, now we have 1. As you can see, that's 1. If we now go to story, test play. We can now open this in, yeah, that's okay. Start game, we now go to 1. So if we change this, untitled story, dungeon game, story author, me. Welcome to dungeon game. Let's build again, test story. Dungeon game by me. Start. Welcome to dungeon game. So you can see the basics of what we're going on to here. So now, the reason that start game is only on start game and it doesn't contain any real content to dungeon game is because of the way that the iPod will view directories. Now there are methods to navigate the directories in the iPod, but that's what I'd consider somewhat high knowledge, and I'm not going to go over it. Maybe we'll make another video. So let's just name this one start because we're basically doing the same thing. So we'll name this 2. Yep. Okay. You are in a room. Dark room. Dark and scary room. Ah, you see, now we're using our adjectives. Okay, so we'll name this one. So let's make an option. Run. And this 3. Yeah, it's just 3. And then cry, pipe, 3, P1. Why have I done that? Okay, so if we think of it as a non-linear story, we have just split the path. Okay? So let's have 3 on top. And 3P1. So now, if we look at it logically, we can see 1, 2, 3, path 1. Okay? Excuse me. So now we have 2 paths. We've got 3 and path 1. So we can see 3 is run. You run down the hall, you run out of the room into a locked door. Your nose broke. Okay. And then in this one, you cried until you fell asleep, never to wake again. You died. Now, we want this, so this is a you died message. Now, why have I not double spaced the code? I have here, so let's actually edit this. The reason I've not double spaced it is because this is wasted data which will not appear on your iPod. You died. Go back to start. Now, why is this not going back to the start game? So let's go back to 1. You can see the arrow. Why is this not going back to the start game? Because of the way that the iPod treats directories, you can't go up a directory. Actually, you can, but again, that's not what I'm going to be covering in today's video. This is going to be the simplest form of working this game. So, your nose broke. So, let's continue. So, this is just 3, so let's name this 4. Apply pressure to the wound. Okay, so now I'm going to consider this the game. We could expand on it, we could not, but hopefully you understand what I mean by non-linear story, how we're going to navigate it. We could also have path 3, just stand still. 3p2 for path 2. So now that we have this, we can build. Now, why do we build it when we're not on the iPod? Because we want to make sure that this is a story. You know, the point is that this is a story. It is not meant to be a proof of function. So you're in a dark sky room, run. You run out of the room into a locked door, your nose broke. Apply pressure to the wound. Okay, so let's just pretend there's more to it and that is completely working. Now we need to get on to making this iPod format. Now, there is probably a way to make Twine turn this into an iPod format thing. I'm not going to do that because I don't understand it. So, first things first, we want to create a directory. So, dungeon game. We're going to open up TextEdit. We're going to save as desktop dungeon game. We're going to name this start game. So before we begin, actually, when you open up TextEdit, you're probably not set up for this. You're going to want to go to Format, make plain text so that you get rid of the bar at the top, like my screen. Go to Preferences, plain text, and ignore rich text in HTML and RTF. That is very important because when you're editing the game later on, it will open up as rich text format, and when you convert it back to plain text, you will lose all of your code. Okay, so how do we turn this into a game? Well, I'm going to open up a new document. I'm not going to save this one, but this is going to be information that we can copy and paste later on. So, let's also create a folder. So we're going to go down this directory. I'm going to name this contents. So let's start game. Now this is where the HTML comes in. We're going to use 2 HTML tags. One, this is the most important one, href equals speech mark, close, open, /a, close. href contents, because that is the folder we are going to, /1.txt. Okay, and then we're going to go to open title, close, open /title, close. Dungeon game. Okay, so we're going to copy paste this into our document down here because we're going to want to use it again. Going to copy href, but we're going to remove all of the contents. And then in between here, between the A's, I'm going to add start game. Okay, so just to show the example, don't do this to your actual one. I'm going to add HTML to the end so that we can open this in Google Chrome. As you can see, we have our game and our link, which will go to contents 1. Okay, so let's rename this back to txt. Okay, now we are in contents, so let's open up a new, going to save as contents 1. Okay, so because we've already linked to this, welcome to dungeon game. So you can see we are literally copying what we have typed into Twine, but we've gotten our title. So we'll go down here, copy paste. Remember not to leave spaces because that is wasted data. We only have 4 kilobytes to spare. To view how many kilobytes you're taking up, do not rely on this number here. We probably have about 50 bytes worth of data on this note. It's just that the lowest it will display is 4 kilobytes. Okay, so welcome to Dungeon Game. We want to go to 2, so let's copy paste our href. Start, because this is what is going to be displayed, 2.txt. We are not adding the contents again because we are already in this folder. Save, and then we are going to do save as 2, and then oops, okay, so what we're going to do is make this smaller so we can see Twine. Okay, so now we are in 2. You are in a dark, scary room. So 3, run. 3p1.txt, 3p2.txt, cry, stand still. Okay, save as 3. I'm sure you get the gist of it by now. Let's just leave that. We don't need to bother with that. We wouldn't normally do this. We'd actually go, let's actually add a href back to main menu, a href 1.txt, just so we don't have any loose ends. Save as 3p1. You cried until you fell asleep, never to wake again. You died. Yeah, go back to start. Save as 3p2. Let's just go back to main menu. Okay. So this is now iPod format. You could drag this dungeon game straight into your iPod notes, which you do by making sure that your iPod is enabled for disk use. Google that if you don't know how to in iTunes. And you'll be able to play the game just like that. That is literally the basics of creating a note game. You make an idea for it in Twine and then you code it. It's genuinely that simple. There is nothing to it. So I hope this helps. I know this is a very weird video for me, but thank you for watching.